If a hospital phone ever rings from a floor that doesn't exist anymore, don't answer it. I learned that the hard way. I took a night shift job at a hospital this summer before my sophomore year of college. The ad said environmental services, which is just a polite way of saying late-night cleaner, but the pay was good and I was broke. My schedule was simple: 10 p.m. to 6 a.m., Monday through Friday. Empty hallways, sleeping patients, fluorescent lights buzzing loud enough to keep me awake. The hospital was small, just 4 active floors, but the building had a 5th floor that nobody used anymore. On my first night, my supervisor handed me a badge, a cart, and a warning. "Don't go to 5, he said. "It's sealed for renovation." I shrugged it off. Every old building has a floor under construction. No big deal. But the nurses kept giving me looks whenever I pushed my cart past the elevators, like they expected something to step out. Around 2 a.m., the hospital gets quiet in a way that feels wrong. No visitors. Most patients sedated. Even the machines seem to beep softer, like they're afraid to make noise. That's when the phone calls started. I was mopping in a hallway on the 3rd floor when the phone at the empty nurses' station rang. Shrill. Too loud for a place where everyone is trying to sleep. I waited, assuming a nurse would answer it. No one did. So I walked over and picked it up. "A 3rd floor nurse's station," I said, trying to sound professional. On the other end, I heard breathing. Slow, ragged breathing, like someone had been running for their life and then suddenly stopped. "Hello," I asked. "Are you okay? Do you need a nurse?" The line crackled. Then a woman's voice whispered, "He locked the door." I froze. "Ma'am, this is a hospital. Where are you? I can send someone." She ignored the question. "He locked the door," she repeated, closer this time. "He said the fire was just a drill. Why won't they open it?" Before I could respond, the call cut off with a metal clang, like someone had slammed something heavy into the receiver. I checked the phone's little digital screen. The call had come from extension 5501. I had no idea what that meant, but I wrote it down on my glove with a Sharpie anyway. Later that night, I asked one of the older nurses about it. "Hey, do we have a room 5501? I said. She went pale. "Where did you hear that number?" she asked. "The phone said that's where a call came from. Maybe it's a glitch." She shook her head. 5501 was the old psych intake room, on the 5th floor. That whole level's been shut down for years. I laughed it off. "Well, your haunted floor just called me." She didn't laugh. Instead, she leaned in and lowered her voice. "Don't answer it if it happens again," she said. "Just hang up. That ward never got fully cleared out after the fire. Records, equipment, and maybe other things." I wanted to ask more, but she got called away before I could push my luck. The second call came 2 nights later. Same time. Same empty hallway. Same shrill ring slicing through the silence. I told myself I would ignore it. Let it go to wherever hospital phone calls go to die. But it just kept ringing. And ringing. And you can't not pick up a hospital phone. What if it's an emergency? I snatched it off the cradle. "3rd floor," I said. "This is maintenance." This time, I heard 2 sounds, the same labored breathing, and something metallic scraping across a floor. "Hello," I asked. "Ma'am, sir, are you okay?" "They're all gone," the voice said. Definitely female. Definitely terrified. "Who's gone?" I asked. "The nurses, the doctor. They said everyone had to evacuate, but he locked my door. I can't get out. The smoke is coming in under the..." She started coughing. Deep, choking coughs that made my own throat hurt. I pressed the receiver closer, without meaning to. "Where are you?" I repeated. "Room 5501, she gasped. "Psych intake. Please tell them I'm still here." The line erupted into static, so loud I had to pull the phone away. But under it, I swear I heard something else. A crackling roar, like a fire feeding itself. Then the call died. I stared at the screen. Extension 5501. The hairs on my arms stood up. That night, I couldn't concentrate. The mop bucket rattled whenever I pushed it. The wheels squeaked. Every shadow looked like it was about to stand up. Around 3 a.m., I finally worked up the nerve to ask my supervisor. "Hey, what happened on the 5th floor?" I said casually. He didn't answer right away. Just stared at his clipboard like he suddenly couldn't read. "Nothing you need to worry about," he said. "It's sealed off, end of story." "Yeah, but was there like a fire or something? Someone mentioned." He cut me off. "Your job is floors 1 through 4, not 5, drop it." That should have been my sign to let it go. Instead, my curiosity did exactly what horror movies warn you about. On Friday night, it all came to a head. The hospital was even quieter than usual. Storm clouds had rolled in, and distant thunder kept shaking the windows. I was wiping down handrails on the 2nd floor when every overhead light flickered, went dark for half a second, then hummed back to life. When the lights came back on, all the phones started ringing at once. Not just one nurse's station. Not just one floor. Every single phone. Every single line. All of them shrieking in perfect sync. Nurses looked at each other. Doctors stepped out of rooms. The sound was deafening. Then, one by one, each phone stopped ringing, except the one in front of me. My screen didn't show a caller ID this time. No extension. Just one word, 5. My hand moved before my brain could stop it. "Hello," I whispered. For a second, there was only faint static. Then I heard my own voice. "You shouldn't have answered," it said. I jerked the phone away. But the line stayed open. I could hear myself breathing on the other end, perfectly in sync, like I was listening to a recording of the last few seconds. Then the breathing on the line stopped, but mine didn't. "Come up," the other me whispered. "We've been waiting." The call ended. The screen went dark. When I looked up, all the other phones were silent. The hospital had slipped back into its usual late-night calm. At that point, any reasonable person would have clocked out and found a different job. Instead, I did the dumbest thing I've ever done. I decided to ride the elevator to the 5th floor. I told myself it was just to prove it was locked. To show my brain there was nothing up there. The elevator doors opened with a reluctant ding. I stepped inside and hovered my finger over the buttons. 1, 2, 3, 4, and a dark, unlit 5. I hesitated. My reflection in the brushed metal doors hesitated with me. "You shouldn't have answered," I heard in my head again. Then the elevator jerked. Like someone had cut the cable for a split second and spliced it back together. All the floor buttons lit up, even ones that didn't exist anymore. The elevator started moving up. I hadn't pressed anything. The floor indicator blinked, 2, 3, 4. Then, against every rule of physics and common sense, it clicked to 5. The doors opened. The 5th floor hallway was dark. No overhead lights. Just the emergency exit sign at the far end, glowing a sickly red. Dust floated in the air, sparkling whenever lightning flashed through the tiny windows. Old equipment sat under plastic sheets, like corpses waiting for a viewing. I should have stayed in the elevator. Instead, I stepped out. The doors slid shut behind me with a final sounding thunk. "Hello," I called because apparently I hate myself. No answer. Just the faint echo of my own voice, bouncing off empty walls. I started walking. Every door I passed had the room number scribbled on a little metal plate. 5507, 5506, 5505. Halfway down the hall, I smelled something faint but sharp. Like burned wires. Or old smoke trapped in the drywall. The exit sign flickered. Finally, I reached the door to 5501. Unlike the others, this one had a heavy reinforced window set into it. Someone had tried to paint over the glass from the inside, but the paint had cracked and peeled with age, leaving jagged streaks. My heart was pounding so hard I could feel it in my throat. I put my ear to the door. Nothing. No breathing. No shuffling. No fire. I should have walked away. Instead, I tried the handle. It turned. The door creaked open on rusty hinges. Inside, the room was small. Just enough space for a bed bolted to the floor, a built-in desk, and the ghost of old medical equipment. The window looked out over the parking lot, now empty except for a few cars and the glow of the streetlights. For a second, I allowed myself to believe I was alone. Then I saw the phone. It sat on the desk, its plastic yellowed with age, receiver off the hook, cord dangling to the floor. The red message light was blinking. Slow. Steady. I picked up the receiver with shaking hands. There was no dial tone. Just a recording. My recording. If a hospital phone ever rings from a floor that doesn't exist anymore, don't answer it. It played my own opening line, the one you heard at the start of this story, but twisted with static and buried under a faint roar of fire. Then a different voice layered over it. The same woman from the first calls. Tell them I'm still here, she whispered. Please. Every light in the room cut out. The exit sign in the hallway flickered again, then went dark too. For a moment, the only light came from the tiny red LED on the phone, blinking like a heartbeat. In the pitch black, I heard footsteps. Not down the hall. Inside the room. They circled behind me, between me and the door. I could feel heat licking at my ankles, even though nothing was burning. The air grew heavy, thick with the phantom stench of smoke. Then something cold wrapped around my wrist. It felt like a hand, but wrong, too many fingers, each one pressing into my skin. Don't hang up, the woman's voice whispered at my ear. If you hang up, I'll never get out. I did the only thing my panic-fried brain could manage. I slammed the receiver down. The moment the phone clicked into place, the room snapped back to normal. The lights flickered on. The heat vanished. The smell of smoke evaporated like it had never been there. I was alone again, if you don't count the fresh bruises around my wrist. I ran. I didn't look back at room 5501. I didn't wait for the elevator. I took the stairs all the way down, skipped my clock out, and went straight to my car. I didn't go back the next night. Or the night after. When my supervisor called asking why I'd abandoned my shift, I just told him I quit. He didn't sound surprised. Most people don't last long on nights, he said. The building gets to them. I almost asked him if the building ever called his floor too, but I hung up instead. Epilogue, inspired by segment. If this sounds unbelievable, here's the part that is. In 2013, a real hospital psych ward fire in the U.S. forced a chaotic evacuation in the middle of the night. Several patients were temporarily unaccounted for, and one was officially listed as missing for months before their remains were discovered in a locked room that staff thought had already been cleared. Phone records later showed multiple unanswered calls from that ward's internal extensions in the hour after the fire alarms first went off, even though the floor was supposed to be empty and locked down. So the next time you're in a hospital late at night and hear a phone ringing on a floor nobody uses anymore, maybe let it ring.